Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Let's kick off the late pick four at Aqueduct on Saturday with race number 7, one of the New York Stallion Series races for 2-year-olds on the card. It's the $500,000 Fifth Avenue. These are fillies going 7/8 of a mile. Mike, I see you're shaking your head. $500,000 for New York breds? New York breds. It's an advantage.
It's a big advantage when you get to the end of the year here, and they're going to give away this kind of money for basically a bunch of maidens. Dan, we have 11 entered in this filly division, the Fifth Avenue. 6 of them have never won a race in their lives, but you know what? They're putting up 500,000. You're taking a shot.
Well, the morning line favorites won 2 and has already won a stakes race. That's the number 1, Les Bon Temps, who won the Maid of the Mist, only a $250,000 race last time out, going a 1-turn mile. I guess in many ways she's the horse to beat. She has the figures for Michael Baker. She's just going to have to work out a trip from the rail in this bulky field.
Yeah, and she's got plenty of speed from down there too. So it feels like the good trip should be coming from her as long as she gets out of the gate pretty well here, Dan. Ran fine last time, as you mentioned, became a stakes winner in the Maid of the Mist. That was going a mile. She gets to cut back a furlong here. There's some other speed to her outside. It feels like she could really fall into a trip here.
Mike, do you agree with the Timeform US Pace Projector's assessment that this might be a fast pace? I mean, for this kind of money, 2-year-olds often anxious leaving the gate, a big field. I could certainly see the potential for a fast pace. FEMA Funds went quick last time out and ran a solid second, one of the maidens you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there has to be at least some chance this pace heats up a little bit. The horses that are 1-2 on this pace projector you're looking at, Linda Rice trains both of them. Neither one of them has won a race to this point, but they've both shown some speed. I guess they're going to come out of there, going forward, Dan. I don't feel like the favorite, Le Bon Temps, is going to be that far away. They have her sort of mid-pack down on the inside, but she's faster than that. She could be forward.
So not only is the number 1 Les Bon Temps won the Maid of the Mist, she's also stakes placed against open competition. She was third against Wonder Wheel, who of course won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies over the fall. Let's watch Les Bon Temps' last race. This is the Maid of the Mist. She got a very nice trip. She tracked the pace down towards the inside. She's going to get to the outside here. She's going to race on her left lead all the way down to the wire, and she's going to get it done with a solid figure.
Yeah, exactly. 81 buyer. I mean, if she shows up on Saturday and runs an 81 again, she's just going to win this race. She ran fine in here, Dan. The trip was a good one. She worked really, really hard from start to finish just to keep herself in the game. And then she wore down the horse on the lead there. And everybody else was far, far behind in that field. The horse that finished third, a distant third, Silver Skillet, came back to run on Friday at the Big A. And I didn't get the final margin, Dan, the official final margin. She might have won by 100 lengths.
I don't think it was officially 100, but she won by a pole. The 2 is Clover Street, and Clover Street's one of the maidens you might want to consider in here. Very lightly raced, stretching out to 7, getting blinkers for the first time. This will be her 3rd start. Let's watch her most recent race. 3/4 of a mile against New York bred maidens, and she is far, far back, turning into the stretch with just a load of work to do, and she puts in a nice, honest run. I think there's more in the tank here.
I do too. I thought she was one of the horses that could be a big price in here that maybe you want to keep an eye on, at least try to get in there somewhere. I like the run she puts in here. Got a little bit too far away early. She was also very wide throughout this race, but I like the way that she finished up. Her debut was fine, just sort of second best to a runaway winner in the slop. She took a step forward last time. Could take another one here.
Up next is the number 3, Force's Sweetheart. And this is a filly coming up from Gulfstream Park. She could be one of the pace protagonists off this performance, a career debut against open $50,000 maiden claimers. She was a pace presser. She's taking the lead here, and it's off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, she was just much the best in this race, Dan. Got a really good trip, but she got a really good trip because she had plenty of speed, just sort of sat up outside a couple of horses early and just wins as easy as you could win a maiden race, I guess, Dan. She fit a great profile for Saffie Joseph in this race. His numbers with first-time starters and maiden claiming races are off the charts. It feels like they're all ready to run. This one was as well. But she looked pretty good to me winning.
We had a lot of wet weather in New York earlier in the week, and there's a chance for a wet track at Aqueduct on Saturday. Maybe that helps the 4 Midtown Lights, who scored this race, a maiden special weight over a sloppy track going 3/4. Here's Midtown Lights attacking FEMA Funds, who's also in this race. FEMA Funds on the lead on her left lead right now. Midtown Lights is on the outside. Midtown Lights just better.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I looked at it too. Her first 2 starts were sprinting on the turf, and she ran fine in those races as well. But she handled this wet main track. The trip was good. FEMA Funds just really couldn't fight her off here at the end, and Midtown Lights will prevail at a short price. I don't know, Dan. I didn't necessarily think either one of those 2 horses, ran great in that race. I thought they would both have to improve by quite a bit in here.
I think this number 5 Bustin' Hot has potential. I am concerned that this race might be too tough, especially the way the pace is shaping up. I really like the fact that this horse showed much improved early speed, second time out with the addition of blinkers. We'll watch Bustin' Hot's second race. And this horse was on the lead in here. There was legitimate fractions. They went 23 flat for the opening quarter. This horse is still learning. You see, she is still on her left lead, and she eventually gets tired and runs third. I do think there's a maiden race with her name on it somewhere.
I agree with all that stuff. And I don't necessarily feel like this is the right spot, but again, they're putting up a lot of money here. You're going to take a shot with any 2-year-old filly that has even, some talent, Dan. That's a race that was won from last to first, and she was on the lead going a legitimate pace in there. She improved, I think, even more than it may appear on paper. I just don't know if this is the right race for her.
Dream of Cara, the number 6, Dream On Cara, has not hit the board in 5 lifetime starts, but she does have a couple of things going for her. She has a pretty solid pedigree. It seems like this dam throws stakes horse after stakes horse, and with her running style, there's a possibility that this race falls apart. And if it does, Dream On Cara will be one of the horses running at the end.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I won't argue with that, Dan. I just wonder, even if she gets that kind of a setup and a clean trip into it, I just wonder if she's good enough. Her 2 dirt starts, they've both been stakes races as well. And maybe this one's not even as tough as either of those 2. But to me, she just didn't do any running in either the Maid of the Mist or the Key Sense.
The number 7, Small Pebbles, won her first 2 starts, including a minor stakes race at Finger Lakes. She showed speed that day, but apparently it was Finger Lakes speed, because when she tried to get to the front in the Key Sense, she was out sprinted and she paid the price.
Yeah, that's exactly how I looked at it too. I mean, that's always the question with these Finger Lake shippers when they come down to New York. Even if they come down with good form, Dan, the question is, will they class up? And to me, anyway, Small Pebbles clearly didn't class up in the Key Sense. She tried to show speed in there, but she was completely overmatched by that field. Again, maybe that field's better than this one, but I don't know. Maybe not by that much, Dan. She's got to improve by a lot.
I feel similarly towards the 8 Central Speed as I do towards the 5 Bustin' Hot, a horse that showed improved speed second time out. Now, the difference is Central Speed, I thought, ran really, really well in her career debut with a less than ideal trip. Second time out, she caught speed, she caught other speed, battled it out and tired. I think she'll be more patiently ridden this time around, and maybe she gets a trip.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't think they can get as aggressive with her as they did last time. This filly really ran first time out. She got bet in that race. Like they thought she had some ability. She hit the gate at the start and then had to steady and then had to steady again. And she just wound up way too far away, made a huge run in that race and just got tired at the end. And I feel like that's probably why Rosario was so aggressive in her second start. She should have won first time out and she didn't. And they just sent her last time, but other horses were going as well. And she wound up dueling and tiring. I think they'd be more patient with her here, Dan, and I think she's way better than she looks on paper.
The 9 is Little Lindsay. Now, her only lifetime win came on turf, and she finished 8th of 10 in the Maid of the Mist. But I certainly understand why they're bringing her back here. She just didn't get out of the gate at all last time out on dirt. They're going to give her one more shot on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. She ran pretty well, actually, winning her debut on turf. The grade 3, I think she deserves a pass for. It's still, a real question whether she can run on dirt at all. And she is more turf bred on the bottom. But, I guess we'll give her one more shot here because the money's so good.
FEMA Funds, the 10 is a horse we saw finish second last time to Midtown Lights, another horse in this race that showed improved speed second time out, which is often a harbinger of good things to come. She set a legitimate pace in that race over the wet track. It was a much improved performance, but this is an extremely tough field, and to take them all the way seems like a big ask.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they get aggressive with her again in this race, Dan, or maybe they try to do it a different way this time. Um, the book on Linda Rice, for the most part, is, she'll give them their debuts and just sort of realize that they need experience, and then they'll really improve in their second start. And I guess this horse did that a little bit last time, but I didn't think she ran great first time out, and I didn't think she ran great last time either. I just thought she was tough to like in here.
A five-time maiden, Sweet Liberty, completes this field. She was up close to a solid pace last time out, battling it out with FEMA Funds. FEMA Funds was just better than she was. We've already discussed that Midtown Lights seemed better than FEMA Funds. So Sweet Liberty is going to have to do a lot more. Jackie Davis on a 2-year-old daughter of Bellamy Road.
Yeah, just sort of sat on the inside last time and tried really hard, but couldn't really do anything. I guess if you wanted to, to sort of give her one more run in here, Dan, her last 3 starts all over wet tracks, maybe getting over faster if we indeed have a fast track on Saturday. Maybe that helps this horse a little bit.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the first leg of the late pick four at Aqueduct on Saturday. Fifth Avenue division of the Stallion Series. Les Bon Temps is sort of a moto horse based on her figures and the class lines. I'm more interested in hearing about your pick, Central Speed.
Again, I feel like this horse is way better than she looks on paper, Dan. She really ran first time out. I think she had enough of an excuse in her second start, but it still looks like maybe she just doesn't have that much talent just simply on paper. She's 12-1 on the morning line. I'm not way against the one. The one's the horse to beat in here. I'm trying to beat her with the 8.
Central Speed, really interesting price source, trained by the excellent John Terranova. 815.2 for Mike, 1410.3 for me. It's the first New York Stallion Series race for 2-year-olds at Aqueduct on Saturday. This is the Fifth Avenue. Good luck.